This is the Rolling with Tay Podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and today my guest is James J. Logan, aka Jim. He's an Ironman competitor who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which we'll talk about a little later. He is now gearing up for the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii, this October. But there's more. He's written a book, Just Keep Trying, and he has a mission of raising $100,000 for the Ironman Foundation. So make sure you purchase that book and support and help Jim reach his goal. Welcome to the podcast, Jim. How you doing?
Thank you, Tay. Thank you so much for taking some of your time to share my story. I really appreciate it. And I'm doing as well as can be expected, considering they gave me 6 months to 2 years to live 28 months ago. So I'm in overtime and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Listen, I like to hear that. that is good.
Yeah.
you know, yeah. Again, thank you for being here and taking time out your day to share your story because it's inspirational, and not only for people who are going through something similar, but just for life,
Yeah, in general. Yep.
Yeah. And so we'll get started. Tell me how you became obsessed, if that's the right word.
It's pretty close, yeah.
With doing triathlons.
Well, as a youngster, I watched my dad growing up. He was a marathon runner, and I watched him cross finish lines in London, in Berlin, in New York. And even though he wasn't winning the races, to me, he was winning, and it made an indelible mark in my memory. And like most sons, you want to impress your father, so this was a natural way to kind of show him that, say, "Hey, Dad, look at me," and so that's kind of where the inspiration started. And one of the reasons I did it was initially it was just a hobby, something to do on the weekend and kind of stay in shape. Something different than going to the gym. If you put a race on the schedule, then now you have something to work towards and go do. And so it started as a hobby. It became an addiction, which turned into a lifestyle. Basically, to the point, over 30 years, I've done over 300 races, and it's just become intricate in my life. So even when we go on vacation, we call them racecations because it's usually a race involved.
Those type of vacations. I've taken a few of those myself, and I can relate to putting races on the calendar. So it has.
What's your sport of choice?
Well, it's cycling.
I love it. Yeah.
Inline skating.
Oh, okay.
I started running a couple years ago. So I don't know how to swim confidently yet.
Yeah.
So I'm doing duathlons.
Okay. The swim gets a lot of people hemmed up.
See?
Yeah.
That is it. But once I feel confident in swimming, then I think it's like no stopping me.
That's the key, is to develop the confidence. I think most people who are worried about swimming enter the water with that trepidation. And, it's the first event that you do. You go from a cold heart to a warm heart. And a lot of people in the first 100 yards, 100 meters of the race, their heart rate spikes, then they panic. And the next thing you know, you're like, and you can't get your heart rate back. And so the biggest thing is to learn how to relax in the water.
Mm-hmm. So out of the three, which is your favorite?
Cycling.
Okay. All right.
Love my bike. Love flying through the wind and just pedaling like crazy and, putting your head down and just getting lost for a couple of hours,
I know.
Yeah.
I like it as
some
well.
People think it's mundane, but for me, it's moving meditation. And I think cycling is one of the great analogies for life, because one of the things that I live by now is a Bible verse, Luke 6:34, which says, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Focus on the troubles in the day ahead, and there's plenty of those." So just basically live for today. So when you're on a bicycle, you can't look too far ahead because the danger is directly in front of you. You're not looking behind you because that's already passed. You're not concerned with what you've already done. You look 10, 12 feet in front of you because that rock, that thing in the road could knock you down. So to stay focused on what's directly in front of you, and eventually you'll get to the finish line that you're seeking. So sometimes you can't see the finish line. You have to focus on a little bit, narrow your focus a little bit to really be present in the moment.
I like that. I like that a lot. And that's exactly how I ride and I skate.
Yeah.
just making sure, like, I don't see a rock, I don't see no glass,
Yeah.
because that could
You
take
know,
you out.
yes, and it happened. We all hate hitting the ground, but it happens so fast. A lot of times you never even get a chance to make an adjustment, or you just hit the ground. You're like, what just happened here? Which
That,
is what we all try to avoid. I mean, I don't want to get hurt, but even worse than that, I don't want to hurt my bicycle.
listen, I pay my bike is
Yeah.
currently worth more than my car, so
Yeah, I'm
that
not
tells you that.
surprised. Yeah, well, I know what level enthusiast you are. So, yeah, my bike doesn't go in the garage; it hangs on my wall.
I remember going to a bike shop one time, and this is before, it's like early on when I started cycling, and I was like, can I get a lock for my bike? And he was like, well, what type of bike you have? And I told him. He was like, you take those bikes with you. You don't lock
Yeah,
them
no,
up.
no,
And
no,
I
no,
said,
no.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. This is what I'm getting into.
Mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm.
not locking my bike up. I'm taking it with
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So take us back to April 2024. You
Sure.
are 59, right? And
Well,
peak,
yeah.
or were you 59 at that time?
I was 59 and 1/2 years old. 59.5. Yeah.
And you were, would you consider in peak physical shape?
Peaking, I was 180 pounds, 10% body fat, training for an Ironman triathlon. I was the healthiest guy I know. So, I mean, yeah, I was peaking really mentally, physically. I had a little work to do spiritually. But in general, I had, everything was going great. And that's why not only was I shocked, but anyone who knows me, of all people, to be hit with this, it was quite a shock because I really thought I had a good bit of time left. And the bottom line is nobody really knows how
Mm,
much time you have left. And you think you have forever until you don't.
that that is a fact. So you go see your doctor, and then what does he tell you, or she tells you?
Yeah, so I really didn't have any symptoms. I had stage 4 colorectal metastatic cancer, which is in my rectum and it moved into my liver, hundreds of tumors in my liver. And that's when it becomes stage 4, when it goes from one organ to another. And I had no symptoms leading up to this diagnosis other than fatigue, which is normal for a person training for an Ironman. But I began to have some gastrointestinal issues, and the fatigue got to be a point where it was more than what's normal. So I decided to go see a doctor who ordered a colonoscopy, and that's when they discovered everything. And colorectal cancer is the second leading killer in cancer next to lung cancer, and the reason is it flies under the radar. By the time you realize you have it, it's advanced stage. So it's a very treatable cancer if you catch it early. And I would encourage anybody that's listening, if you haven't had a colonoscopy and you're over 40 years old, go get one. If they catch it early, it can be handled very simple. It can be handled. It's a treatable cancer. It's a common treatable cancer, and you just caught it late. Yeah, so I got the diagnosis from Dr. Drehush, who's actually a friend of mine, and he said it is terminal, and I remember that not liking that language. Terminal. I was like, there's got to be something we can do. He said, well, they call it palliative care. You do chemo or whatever they can to keep you comfortable as long as you can. At that time, they gave me 6 months, maybe 2 years. And here we are 28 months later. I have no evidence of disease as we speak, even though I'm still on chemo. But the word terminal is defined as the end. And when I look back, it really wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of so many things that I am doing now that I could have never imagined. So much so, I'm so happy with what I'm doing now that I wouldn't trade my diagnosis. And I've said before that cancer is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It's also the best thing that's ever happened to me. Cancer gave me time. Time gives you opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity is what you do with it. But I decided to write a book and pursue my lifelong dream of going to Kona to do the Ironman World Championship. The book is published, doing very well on Amazon, #1 in 3 categories: cancer, triathlon, and spiritual growth. So I'm proud of the effort. I'm proud of the book. And the profits from the book go to my fundraising effort for the Ironman Foundation. So I've now simplified my life to training for the Ironman and hopefully finishing that race on October 10th, 2026, promoting the book and raising money for charity.
Listen, I said this to you earlier. I don't know if I got that diagnosis. I think, well, let me just say, I don't know how I would feel. And I don't think I would want to keep going.
Yeah. You got to face your mortality is what happens is, you go through your whole life. I never really thought about dying or when I would die. I just thought that was so far away. So this forces you to accept the fact that your time is limited, and then you have choices what to do with it. So, when I had my moment of surrender, I surrendered everything to God and just said, I'm going to focus on today, not worry about tomorrow, is when everything changed because I stopped worrying about dying and I started worrying about how I spend my time between now and then.
Mm.
That's when my life became very rewarding. So, raising money for charity, writing the book, helping other people through a similar circumstance has been the greatest joy of my life. And I wouldn't trade my cancer diagnosis for anything because of those reasons.
Right. Yeah. And it gives you, like you said, we all have to face our mortality. We never know when we're gonna go, but you have this sort of like, hey, you only have 6 months to a year, 2 years, what have you. That's what the doctors are telling you. So okay, I have this time. I'm gonna make the best of it, and I'm gonna spend it with family. I'm gonna write this book. I'm going
Yeah.
to do a do an Ironman.
Keep chasing my dreams. And really what I wrote the book with three things in mind. As I entered the cancer world, the cancer centers, the infusion rooms that I had never been in before, the feeling of hopelessness and despair is so awful.
Hmm.
And, there's a lot of people that are going to die. And, it's a fact. So it's a very, very heavy space to be in. And that's when I thought, what could I do? What could I do to maybe present a different option as far as how to approach such a thing? That's when I decided to write the book, with the main purpose being I wanted to give faith to the faithless, hope to the hopeless, and prove the Ironman motto that anything is possible. So it starts with faith. Once you have true faith, then it kind of erases fear. I'm
Hmm.
not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living, and I'm afraid of not spending the time I have left the right way. So the more of these charitable things that I do, the more positive things that I do, it seems, the better I feel. I get more in return than I give out, and that's been a great joy as well.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Uh, I keep thinking back to like, I have this saying, I don't want to just exist. I want to live.
Yeah,
I want to experience everything. I want to, whatever,
yeah,
and through this podcast, when I talk to people, they inspire me so
yeah,
much. And I'm like, oh, I'm all right. I'm going to try that.
yeah. Yeah, it's admirable that you put yourself out there, including, with me. And one of the things I've learned, and it's been great, is I wouldn't be doing these things without cancer. So I'm thankful to cancer for so many things. One of them is all the wonderful people I get to meet along the way. If I have a positive impact on you and you have a positive impact on me, and we could share that with some other people and maybe someone benefits from it, what could be better?
That's right.
Yeah,
So you have this I want to call it a saying or acronym, DSSP
correct.
formula. What does that stand for?
It's discipline, sacrifice, suffering, and pain. It's a kind of the lifestyle I've led. I've always been self-employed, so discipline's been a big thing. I've always been a fitness guy, so it fits in there as well. When I wrote the book, I had not defined that philosophy previously. It wasn't like I understood or knew it, over the previous 30 years. But as I wrote the book and looked back on my life, that's kind of how I defined it. And basically, those are the four pillars of success, in my opinion, for a
Mm,
successful life. You have to have discipline in life regardless if you want to achieve anything. So if you don't have discipline, you can forget the other three. But if you can develop some discipline, then you're willing to make some sacrifices and you don't mind enduring some suffering and pain, you can accomplish just about anything. There's joy in pain and there's meaning in suffering, but you got to go through it to get the golden nuggets.
yeah. Wow. Yeah. Discipline is definitely
That's the cornerstone right there.
that right there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I sign up for these events, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, why'd I sign up for them? But I gotta go
That's
out
what,
there.
yeah. When you
Gotta
put a
push
when
through.
you put a mark on the calendar, months in event, ahead. Say, look, I'm going to do this race. Let's say it's a century. You're going to do 100 miles. You've never done it before. So you say, okay, in 6 months I'm going to do this 100-mile race. Then you work backwards from there. What I always tell people is they're like, oh, 100 miles, I could never do that. It's like, wait a minute, could you ride 10 miles? Oh, sure. Well, then guess what? Next week you ride 15 miles. The next week you ride 20 miles. Nobody does anything big in a day. It's a series of little things, and we can all do little things. Little things applied consistently over a long period of time will lead to tremendous results. So you'd be surprised what you're capable of when you apply yourself.
Right. Put your mind to it. And like you said, break it down into small pieces.
And what greater reward than to have the discipline to execute the plan, to make the sacrifices, to endure the suffering and pain, and then you get that finish line, and it just validates everything and makes you want to go back for more. Not only that, it flows over into other parts of your life where you can break down difficult things and make them simple just by focusing on what you need to do today. So a lot of people have asked me, how do you do what you do? And how do you, as I don't really worry about the totality of the race. I worry about what I have to do today. If today is a 1 hour bike and a 1 hour run, well, that's all I have to do today. I have a plan. And if I keep executing that plan on a daily basis, when race day comes, I'll be as prepared as I can be. And then we'll let the chips fall where they fall. Initially when I started doing these races, it was all about the finish line. Once I got cancer, my mindset shifted to the start line. I didn't know if I could finish, but to have something to work towards, which was the start line. I just wanted to get to the start line, and then we'll see what happens from there. So if you have a 10-month training program, let's say for Ironman, there's 4 weeks in a month, that's 40 weeks, 10 sessions per week, that's 400 training sessions. Are you telling me that the 400 training sessions, the 10 months of training, are less important than 1 day of racing? By the time you get to the start line, the money's in the bank. The benefits have already been received. And yeah, it's great to get the finish line, but if you don't, you still get all the benefits.
Yeah. Going back to the pain part and the suffering.
Yeah, a lot of people like to avoid pain and suffering, but you can't avoid it. There's a saying that I really like that says you can suffer the pain of discipline or you can suffer the pain of regret. So I get up, I do the workouts, I stay in shape, and say another person sits on the couch, watches Netflix, and orders Uber Eats. Sooner or later, that person will get very sick and have to deal with a lot of medical issues. And then other people say, well, so did you. You got very sick and you have to deal with medical issues, but I'm more prepared. I'm more prepared. The reason I think I've lived as long as I have is because my ability to withstand the chemo, to recover from the surgeries, and the mental mindset, the physical fitness, it all plays into it. So, my lifestyle prepared me for the greatest battle of my life, which is fighting this cancer.
Right. And yes, going back to your lifestyle. So say that person sitting on the couch, eating pizza every night or what have you, they get this diagnosis.
They're not going to do as well.
Right.
Well, you're not going to be mentally prepared because it's hard. It's hard. It's physically hard. So I like to say I went from swim, bike, run to chemo radiation surgery and just kind of treat it that way. It's like I can endure a tremendous amount of suffering and pain personally. The only suffering and pain that I really don't enjoy is watching my family and friends worry about me. And one of the hardest parts of the diagnosis was telling my family, telling my friends, in particular my wife, married 30 years. It was, I couldn't formulate words. I was just so emotional. I couldn't even tell her that, the plans we had for the future are going to be a bit condensed and everything has changed. But since then, we've come a long way and our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. And I, again, thank cancer for that. I had become complacent in my life in many ways. One of them was with relationships, taking things for granted. After being married for 30 years, I wasn't as caring or romantic or whatever you want to say as maybe I used to be way back in the beginning of the relationship. So now I'm way more conscious, way more honest, way more vulnerable of how important my wife is to me. And I make sure she knows that every single day.
Cancer has really been a blessing in disguise for you.
That's how I take cancer's power away. I thank cancer. It's like, you can't hurt me. I remember early on, I told my wife, I said, cancer has my body. I'll do what's medically necessary to deal with that. But cancer can't have my heart because it belongs to my wife and son. Cancer can't have my mind because it belongs to me. And cancer can't have my soul because I've given that to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So heart, mind, and soul against cancer has been a winning strategy for me so far.
Well, so far, so good. So yeah. I like to hear that. How has training been for this?
Training is difficult. It's hard to put a training plan together when you can't plan past a week. Most recently, just one incident. Most recently, well, I'll start with for this year, 2026. So I started training for the Ironman World Championship in December. At that time, I was no evidence of disease. I had just had my rectum removed and the final tumor removed. And I was no evidence of disease for a few months. As I entered into January, my ostomy prolapsed, which means my intestines kind of flopped out of my belly. We went to the hospital. They put some sugar on it, shoved it back in, and said, "You're all good." I was like, wow, that was easy. But then while we were in there, they did a scan and found 3 golf ball-sized tumors on my liver. So back into chemo we go, 6 rounds, really brutal rounds of chemo, which led to an infection in my port, which led to blood clots in my jugular, which landed me in the hospital for 7 days. And it was at that point that, once again, I trained through all that the best I could, probably got 80% of the training in. And at this point, I was thinking, why are these things happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And then my mind shifted. As the doctor came into the hospital, I thought, things were just going horribly. Doctor came in and said, "Your most recent scans show no evidence of disease. We'll fix these clots and you'll be on your way again." So I kept asking the question, why are these things happening to me now? And then my mind shifted that they're not happening to me, they're happening for me. It's my job to figure out why and how to use it. So when I think about Kona, the race is 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a 26.2 mile run. You have 17 hours to finish it. There is nothing you can do to me in 17 hours swimming, biking, and running that I won't have been through in the previous 30 months. I'm stronger now. I'm wiser now. I'm more courageous now. I'm more full of faith now. And, I'll be prepared on every level when I get there. Whether or not I can finish, only time will tell. But it's really not as important as making the effort to just keep trying.
That's right. What did your family, your friends, loved ones try to talk you out of this most recent Ironman?
I don't think anyone tried to talk me out of it. They weren't surprised I was continuing to do it because it's kind of in my nature. And what I've told people before is like, it's not like I got cancer and then decided to do an Ironman.
Right,
I've been
right.
doing this for decades. So, when I started chemo, I didn't know how it was going to affect me. And all I had was what I've known of chemo. What most people know is that it kills you. It's just brutal. And I didn't think I'd be able to train. But after a week of sitting on the couch, which is not my style, I decided that chemo might kill me, cancer might kill me, but swimming, biking, and running are not going to kill me. So I just went back to doing what I've always done. And as I said, I shifted my focus from finish line to start line. I just want to get to the start line. I want to have a reason to get up in the morning, something to work towards. And that's just keep trying. That's where the title came from. My doctors tried to talk me out of doing Ironman triathlons, but I've won them over now because we're 2.5 years in, and my blood work looks better than almost everybody in the infusion room. And the
Mm,
only difference is I'm the only long distance endurance athlete. So there's benefits to it for sure.
yeah. And going back to the book, okay, you're you're a triathlete. You just been diagnosed with cancer, and it's like, okay, mentally, how did you sit there
Yeah, well,
and
here's what
write
happened
this book?
basically. I didn't arrive where I am like day one with the diagnosis. I had
Yeah.
6 months of mental anguish, of
Hmm.
despair, of depression. It took me a minute, it knocked me off my foundation. I had based a lot of my identity on my fitness and after 6 months, the first 6 months chemo, I lost 35 pounds. I had a level 3
Mm,
skin infection. I attempted Ironman Chattanooga in 2024. It went horribly. And it looked like what the doctors had said was coming true, 6 months to 2 years to live. I really felt like death was nearby. And it was hopeless. I felt hopeless. So it was at that time that I was really a broken person. And that's when I surrendered everything to God and just said, I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about dying. I'm going to focus on today. And the only things I
hmm.
prayed for was forgiveness for my sins and entry into heaven. I didn't pray to live longer or cure for cancer. I did ask that if I died, that I could do it in a way that's least harmful to my family, and left it at that. A week later, I got a scan back that said that almost all the tumors in my liver had disappeared, which opened up surgical options that didn't exist before. That's when the light switch flipped in my head. These doctors don't know when I'm going to die. And now I've got God on my side. So I started thinking, okay, I'm not afraid of dying. When I die, I go to heaven. And that's going to be good for me. I'll leave some people behind that are sad, but they'll join me shortly. And that's when I said, okay, if I have this limited time left to live, how do I want to spend it? And the first thing I thought of is I'd love to be able to help other people in a similar situation figure out how to navigate this in a positive way, in a meaningful way, in a purposeful way. And my first thought was to write a book. I didn't know how to write a book. I'm not an author. I was a home inspector. And so it doesn't matter. I set the goal and went about figuring out how to do it. I also wanted to compete in the Ironman World Championship. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but I set about figuring it out. Um, and the reason for the book, as I said, was to bring faith to the faithless, hope to the hopeless. I worked with an editor for 13 months about, back and forth, and I didn't care how long the book took. I wanted it to be a good product, and it turns out that it seems like it is, and a lot of people are getting a lot out of it. So that's been one of the greatest rewards of my life, is writing this book. Then I also, at the same time, signed up for another Ironman Florida 2025. And when I signed up, there's an option to join the Ironman Foundation, which is the charitable wing of Ironman. So I signed up for that. I raised $10,000 for that race. And through that process, I met Audra, the executive director of the Ironman Foundation. Turns out we know each other from high school, 1982. And that's how I got into the Ironman World Championship, which is no easy thing. Then once I realized that, I was like, okay, miracles are happening all over the place. At that point, I said, why don't I donate the profits from the book to my fundraising goal of $100,000 until we meet that goal? I think I'm up around $30,000 now, and I have faith that we'll get close, if not fully achieve the goal. And I'm not going to stop on race day. I'm going to keep raising money beyond that. So, but the whole thing just seemed to make sense that I'm pursuing my lifelong dream of being an Ironman world champion. Wrote the book to help other people, which seems like it's doing, and the profits will go to the Ironman Foundation, which does great work all over the world. So it just felt like a win-win-win-win all over the place. And it turns out I'm getting more out of it than probably anybody else, because I've never been so full of joy and happiness. I've never felt more purpose and meaning in my life. So much so that I wouldn't trade my cancer diagnosis. I wouldn't trade who I am now for who I was then.
That's a blessing. Your mindset. It's
You have to work at it. So discipline's not easy. You have to work on it every day. Faith's not easy. You got to work on it every day. And I said, I got guilty of complacency. I think you're a good bit younger than me, but as I approached my 60s, I had some success in my life. We have nice house, nice cars, nice things, and you just don't work as hard as you used to. I wasn't using all my God-given talents and skills to the best of my ability. I wasn't being as helpful as I could to my family, my friends, my neighbors, my community. And this all shifted my mindset from where I was to where I am. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to work at it. Uh, so it's a constant vigilance to get up every day, and faith has to be renewed, discipline has to be renewed, hope has to be renewed. But if you keep trying, regardless of whether you
yeah.
have cancer or not, even if you can't see the finish line, if you're pointed in the right direction, you get up every day and keep trying, you'll be surprised what you can accomplish.
I agree with that. Just take it one day at a time. That's all you
Yeah.
can do.
I
One
don't
day at
leave
a
any
time.
room for darkness in my brain. I fill my days with light and brightness, and people like yourself. And these kind of conversations lift me up like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be a part of
Thank you so much, Tay. I'm happy to meet you. And like, again, I'm thankful to cancer, because you and I would have never crossed paths otherwise. And who knows who's listening? We don't know who's going to benefit from this conversation. I
That's
know I
right.
am, for starters. But who knows who's listening? I would never have access to your audience otherwise. So thank you, cancer.
But you know what? I'll benefit from that because
Yeah,
honestly, just hearing you speak, it it is inspiring me and making me look at things differently.
that is my whole
Um,
point.
yeah.
You don't have to have cancer to ask yourself these questions and to have these realizations. So think to yourself, if you were diagnosed with something, or if you knew you only had 2 years to live, would it change the way you spend the next 2 years? I think so. And
It
if
would.
so, figure out what those things are and do them now.
That's that's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to do without
yeah,
that, like you
yeah.
said, that
Without that part,
diagnosis.
yeah, you don't need
Yeah.
that part
I
to
don't
get
need
the
that
yeah, yeah,
to start really living life.
yes,
And there's a lot of people who aren't living life, and it's like you
Well, they
said,
just take it for granted. And
yeah,
one of the things that, I got complacent with is my relationships. Like I said, married for 30 years, you're kind of not the same guy you were in the beginning. I
mm-hmm,
have a lot of friends, and, as a guy, a lot of times you keep your emotions tight. You're a little guarded. And all that is gone now. So I've gone to everyone I love and had that conversation. And I ask people all the time, I say, okay, so you have somebody you care about, and the last time you saw them, you had a conversation. If you'd have known that that's the last time you'd ever get to talk to them, would the conversation have been different? Would you have said something more? And if so, call that person, go see that person, and say those things. You'll be surprised what you get in return. So I went to my friends, went to my family, I explained to them how much I love them, care about them, how important they've been to me, and then they give it back to you 100% same, and you're just filled with love and joy. But you have friendships and relationships that are old and they've been around forever, so you kind of take it for granted. And I think having those conversations, reminding people that you're close to, how much they mean to you, is very, very meaningful, not just to them, but back to you.
right, yeah, I agree.
And in the end, really, what I've come to understand, what makes a life meaningful, what makes a life worth living, is relationships and experiences. It's not really much else than that.
Yeah. What are your plans after Kona? Are you gonna take a much needed break, or are you gonna you'll take a little break and then look for the next event to train
I
for?
haven't thought much about, excuse me, October 11th, which is the day after. I'll continue to podcast. I'll continue to speak publicly. I'll probably try to develop a little bit of a speaking thing. I probably won't do any more Ironmans because they're really hard.
Yeah.
And this has been very, very difficult. You can see I'm hiccuping a little bit, actually, little spasms, which
Mm-hmm.
makes it kind of hard to breathe and swallow. But I doubt I'll be chasing Ironmans anymore, regardless of how that ends up. And I'll strictly focus on promoting the book, doing charity work, and trying to help other people.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Life of service. I've already done enough in the business world, so I don't know how much time I have left, but people seem to really enjoy what I have to say, and a lot of people are benefiting from it, so I'll keep doing it.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if you've done like public speaking
Oh
events.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Rotary clubs and realtor associations and churches and anyone that'll have me, basically.
Well,
Yeah,
after this, everybody is. After you cross that finish line,
that's right. That's the moment. That's my Rocky moment. Yo,
that's it.
Adrian, I did it.
Yep, you're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm counting on your show to send me viral and blow me up all over the world. So
all right, let's all right, let's make this
let's do
happen,
it.
audience. Let's
Yeah.
make this happen. Jim, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Like I said earlier, you are inspiring. You're inspiring me. I know you're inspiring others,
Yeah.
and I wish you the best of luck on October 10th,
Yep.
crossing that finish line, holding your medal, and
It'll be a
just
glorious moment. Absolutely. I appreciate your time as well. You've got an energy about you that is infectious. So I can feel your positivity, your optimism, your kindness, your smile is beautiful. And it's just
thank you,
been such a pleasure meeting you.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Is it anything you want to say before we wrap up?
If you want to follow my journey, you can go to Instagram is stage 4 2025. It's STAGE, the number 4 2025. It's where I post everything. I have a donation link in my bio there as well. And if you want to buy the book, just go to Amazon. Just keep trying, TRI-ING. Play on words for triathlon there. And yeah, that's about it. One thing I would say to anyone who's listening, if you're facing a tough thing and what sometimes things, you can't see the finish line, and things look bleak, what seems like the end could actually just be the beginning. You just have to shift your mindset to, why is this happening to me, to why is this happening for me. You got to look for the silver lining, turn that tragedy into a triumph.
That's right. That is right. Change that mindset. and everything else will change.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Jim. And I can't wait to see your post on
Well, we'll
Instagram.
follow up once I finish the race. We'll come back and do a recap. I'll let you know
Yes,
how it went.
definitely. Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much.
We'll do it for sure.
This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay. Thanks for listening, watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.